Good day, everybody. I am Nathaniel Puente for UTRGV Radio, and today in our studio we have the former mayor of McAllen, the current District 1 City of McAllen Commissioner, Mr. Richard Cortez. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing terrific. Thank you for having me here.
That's great. And this is no just ordinary social call. Mr. Cortez, you are running for Hidalgo County Judge. Is that correct?
Yes, I am.
So, as I mentioned just a second ago, you have some vast experience in your career. Why have you decided now to run?
Well, primarily, I now have the time. I lost my wife for 47 years, 3 years ago. I don't own a dog nor a cat, so I have plenty of time to serve, and I thought that wasting all my years of experience and training would be a waste of time if I didn't use it to help a community that I love. My children live here, my grandkids live here, and I think that I can bring value to the position of county judge, and I'm hoping that the citizens will elect me so I can serve them.
What have you learned in your previous positions that will help you for this job?
Oh, golly, many, many, many things. Governments are about people and about relationships and about serving and trying to identify the needs of the community and trying to find, efficient and effective ways to pay for services at the lowest cost to taxpayers. It's also about, understanding the needs of the community, having good communication vehicles with the people that you serve, and then make hard decisions based on good judgment. Every decision that I've ever made, wish I could tell you 100% of the people agree with them, but no. Usually there is some dissension of every decision that you make. But the bad news is that there'll always be government to rule you. The good news is you can always put the people that can best serve you in those positions. So I think I've learned a lot from actual experience in doing that. The county judge position is an administrative position, requires a lot of, financial skills and those sort of things. So I'm here to work for you.
What challenges does Hidalgo County face, and how do you hope to address them?
Well, that's a really good question, because that's really part of the things that motivated me here. My name is Ricardo Felipe Cortez. You can't get any more Hispanic than that. Texas grew 4.2 million new Texans in the last census. 2.8 of those Texans were Hispanic. 49% of all children 5 years or younger in Texas are Hispanic. So the demographics are telling us that the future majority of Texas is going to be Hispanic. That means we who are Hispanic have a huge responsibility to ourselves and to society to be good governors, to govern well, to be prepared to govern and take on that responsibility and do it with character, do it with ethics, do it well. So to me, Hidalgo County or Texas is going to look like Hidalgo County, because the majority of the people here in Hidalgo County are Hispanic. The problem is that 35% of the people who live in Hidalgo County are poor. They're below the poverty line. So if Texas is going to look like Hidalgo County, that's not progress, because I hope that not 1/3 of our citizens in Texas are going to be poor. So I have a lot of experience in business and management, and getting things done, bringing people together to accomplish goals and objectives, which I think uniquely qualifies me for county judge, and I want to do that.
If you're elected, what are your initial plans?
Well, the first thing is I want the people to have confidence in me, and the way that I think that I'm going to show that is by first bringing the leaders of other communities in the county. I want to get together with them and just really become friends and let us understand one another and meet one another, so there can be confidence and friendship among us. It's a lot easier to get things done with friends than with with enemies or people that disagree with you. I tell people that I was married to my wife for 47 years. We didn't agree on everything. In fact, there was a lot of things we disagreed on. But that didn't keep us from loving one another, didn't keep us from helping one another, didn't keep us from raising a family, didn't keep us from doing a lot of things. So I'm going to apply the same approach I did to my marriage, to my position as county judge, knowing that we're not always going to agree on things, but golly, we agree on most of the things, and you help me with the things you do agree with me, then boy, we're going to have a pretty good batting average.
Can you give me the major difference between you and your opponents?
Well, I hate to do that, but I'll tell you this. There's a subjective measurement and there's an objective measurement. If I tell you subjectively what I think of my opponent, then it's just my opinion. So what I'm going to tell you is I'm going to give you an objective evaluation of me and him. And the best one that we can't change, he can't change it, I can't change it, is our history. He was a county judge for 4 years. During his 4 years term as county judge, he's raised taxes 3 out of 4 years. He used up all his savings account, brought it down to $700,000, which today is over $30 million. So wow, that's a big difference between $700,000 and $30 million. And he had one opportunity to build something. He built a jail. And based on the records of the courthouse and the financial statements, he paid more than what it was expected. So compare that with my history. My history shows that I was mayor of McAllen for 8 years, never raised taxes, increased our savings account. We constructed a convention center on time and on budget. We constructed an international bridge on time and on budget. We constructed a library on time and on budget. We constructed 2 parks on time and on budget. So that kind of speaks for itself.
In your website's short bio, you mention, and I quote, "There is much work to be done to ensure our residents and communities have the infrastructure, economic development, and services needed to thrive in our ever-growing region." Now that's quite the mouthful. Tell me why this is important to you.
Well, it's everything, because the duties of a county is to provide services, and one of the services that we provide is drainage. The Hidalgo County basically is a delta. We succumb to flooding very easily because we are a delta. Flooding brings misery, not only physical misery, but economic misery. Because when we flood, it's devastating to a household, devastating to people. It could cause bodily harm, but also it has economic consequences because you can't do business, people can't come to you, you can't conduct business. So when you can't conduct business, property values go down, sales tax revenues to municipalities go down, so bad things happen. So we're not prepared, and only time will tell when the next hurricane or the next event's going to happen here, like it did in Houston. It doesn't come every year, but eventually it's going to come. Then we need to be prepared with that. So this Raymondville Drain project is going to be very important to me. It's already started, so I need to be a good steward of the process that started. Economic development. Who would ever thought that you could sit here right now where we are and we can do all our shopping on a phone app. You want tennis shoes, you can buy them. You can buy them there. You need a fishing rod, you can buy them on the phone or whatever. So that's having a huge impact on the way we do business with brick and mortar sales, which is what municipalities depend on. Well, brick and mortar are very important to us because you have to build brick and mortar, which has value, and that's how the county gets its money. 82% of our revenues come from ad valorem taxation, which mostly a big part of it is commercial development. People, shopping centers, commercial properties. So if businesses are going the other way because now people aren't shopping for brick and mortar, they're shopping on the internet, then that's going to have a huge event on us. So we need to find alternative sources of revenue to finance, future operations. The second reason is, what are the jobs of the future? We're one of the fastest growing areas. In the last census, the United States grew a little less than 10%. Texas grew a little bit more than 20%. The Valley grew 31%. So we're the fastest growing area. Well, that means that our jobs have to grow just as fast, because if not, what are people going to do? And if they can't find a job, they're going to leave. So economic development is going to be huge for me, because I want to make sure that the youth that we have in the Valley have a job and have a good paying job. So we want to create a good environment, to let, people that want to invest in businesses, for them to look kindly and well at Hidalgo County to do that.
Let's focus a little more on your background. Where did you grow up, and where did you attend college?
Sure. I grew up in Hidalgo, Texas. When I finished high school, I went to University of Texas in Austin. I was there a couple of years. I'm an only child, even though I grew up with a big family. I think there were 3 different families living in the same house with 1 bathroom, so that was really a challenge. So I grew up in Wesco. I started off at UT Austin. My father got sick. I came back, and thank God Pan American College was here, so I was able to continue my education at Pan American College. I graduated. I graduated with an accounting degree. While I was a junior in college, I was hired by a CPA firm in Wesco, so I was already working with a CPA firm. So when I graduated, they offered me a full-time job. A few years later, I became a certified public accountant. Myself and other CPAs like myself formed a firm, and I've been practicing public accounting for 47 years or whatever years of 1969 to today is.
If you don't mind me asking, when did you graduate from here?
I graduated in 1970.
I imagine there was no radio station back then, huh?
I don't think so. In fact, this campus wasn't here. At least I don't remember it being here.
Yeah. If you could request one song from your college days to be played, like on the radio station, what would it have been?
Oh, golly. Well, I was a lead guitar player in a rock band.
Yeah.
And in the early 60s, the rock and roll area there, Elvis Presley and B.B. King and all those guys, it was a combination of rock and roll and blues. And then the England Beatles came over, and it changed. There was a combination of rock and roll, the Beatles, and then the Beach Boys came over, and then you got the surfing music. What would be a song that I can remember? It would have to be probably one of the Beatles songs. I really don't want to single one out because I love music.
They're all great.
They were all great. I have many good memories.
Well, you work on that playlist. Let's focus back on the issues a little bit. You mentioned you did come to school here. If you were judge, how would you collaborate with UTRGV?
Well, that's also an extremely good question. I know President Bailey very well. I consider him a dear friend. I know Dean Krause, who's the dean of the medical school. I know Veronica Gonzalez very well. She and I were, when she was a lawyer, we worked on a lot of things together. So I already have a personal relationship with some of the people. In fact, I taught school here. I was adjunct professor. I was teaching forensic economics in the master's program. So I already have good relationships with people. I think it's very important that we share human capital. The wisdom of one is good, but the wisdom of several is better. So anytime that you can bring all that human capital together, just good things are going to come out. I think that the university's human capital is underutilized here. I do want to bring him into and ask him, for counsel. I think that's very important. To me, one of the ways that we can make our future better is that 35% that I talked about earlier that doesn't have an education, needs more skills and training. Well, thank God for UTRGV. Thank God for soon-to-be Texas A&M and, of course, South Texas College. My father had an 8th grade education. His son, one generation later, has a college degree and 2 professional designations. That's pretty good for one generation change. So I know that the future of this area is going to be how well we educate ourselves. So you bet I'm going to have a good relationship with this institution, and I'm going to look for every way I can to help it.
What's next in your career if you were elected as judge? Is there anything beyond the horizon of that?
No, I want to be the very best county judges I can be. I'm tired of people saying that we're corrupt. I'm tired of people, painting a bad brush about us. I think in every, population or frequency of occurrences, you have a bad element in that. But just because you have a minority that are bad doesn't make everybody bad. Unfortunately, we like to brand ourselves as corrupt. I don't think we are corrupt. I think the majority of the people that I know of in government are good, honest people trying to do the best job that they can. But while I'm in office, I want to bring respect, dignity. I want people to say, I'm proud of my county judge. I'm proud of my government. I'm proud to be living here in town. So that certainly will be my goal. No, I have no political aspirations after this. I thought being mayor of McAllen was going to be my last job. Circumstances changed it. But I think county judge will be my last job.
Can you give me your top 3 priorities if you're elected?
Well, the very first one is, and I've talked about it in my plan, is, I want to provide efficient and effective services at the lowest cost to the taxpayers. I want to make sure that the infrastructure that we need, drainage and mobility, is there for the future. If you get on the highways, it's already a nightmare, going back and forth. We're growing so fast. So if we don't keep up with that growth, then we're going to have real deep problems. And the third area, is going to be economic development. You can't solve budgetary problems by cutting expenses. You got to solve budgetary problems by growing revenues. So we have to find alternative sources of revenues for everybody. There's going to be others, but those would be the top 3.
Can you give me one reason why Hidalgo County residents should elect you?
Well, they only have 3 choices for the next 4 years. Myself and my other 2 candidates. I will mention them. One is a Democrat and the other one is a Republican. I think that if you look at our qualifications, if you look at our experience, I think that I'm the most uniquely qualified, to do that. Holding 2 professional designations, having been president of the Border Trade Alliance, having been vice chairman of the Texas Border Coalition, being an advocate in Washington, an advocate in Austin, being a director of a multi-billion-dollar bank. Compare those experiences and qualifications with my opponents, and I'll let you all decide which one do you think you would want to manage your money if it was your money.
What would you want your lasting legacy to be, whether it's if you're elected judge or as Mayor of McAllen? What do you want your impact on the valley to be?
Well, I want it to be similar to when I left the city of McAllen. I'm very proud that when I go to Brownsville, I go to Mercedes, I go to San Benito, I go to Rio Grande City. People look at me and smile because they remember all the great things we did in McAllen when I was there. And we did them also during the period of time of recession, from 2008 to 2013 when I left. Our economy was very sluggish, so it was very difficult, to operate and manage at that point in time. But we were able to accomplish a lot of things, and people remember that. Well, I hope I'm as equally as successful at the county level, and I believe we are, because I believe I'm gonna be surrounded by a good team. I like the commissioners that are there now. They're young, they're smart, they want to do the right thing. I'm going to bring a couple of staff people that are really going to be really good at what they do. So I'm really excited. But I hope that when I leave the office of county judge, they'll have fun memories of me having held that position.
Do you have any final comments you want to say out to anyone listening?
Absolutely. I tell people, if you want to know what direction a community is going, is tell me about the youth of that community. Where are the youth going? One of the things that I want to tell the public is, when I get elected, I'm either going to be, and this is strictly, an example. When I go to Austin or Washington, and if I go as a little small dog, well, nobody's going to pay attention to me because they don't fear a small dog because there's nothing a little small dog can do. But if I'm a big dog and I walk into a room, then they're going to be afraid of me because I'm big. Well, how I become a big, powerful dog, to use that analogy, is we get more people to vote. Hidalgo County is going to have about 1 million people. we estimate about 375,000 are eligible voters. And gosh darn it, when 40,000 or 42,000 only vote, I'm going to be a very small dog, because nobody's going to pay attention to an area that doesn't exercise their right to vote. So to me, the young people are going to have to understand one thing. If you want a good future, then you're going to have to get involved. Because if you don't get involved, then you're letting others that are involved to dictate to you what's going to happen. And the future is yours, so it's in your control. I would love to see a huge number of young people vote. I already did an analysis as to the people that vote here in Hidalgo County. More than 50% of the people that vote are over 65 years of age. Okay, come on. Houston, we have a problem. The smallest percentage of voters come from people under 35. Yet the greatest number of people that we have are 35 and under. So what does that tell you? Is your generation, your age of people need to get involved. I'll close with this. I believe that there's going to be almost like a messiah. There will be this charismatic leader, either male or female, is going to come out of this area, and it's going to really inspire all of us, to really get involved. Hopefully that individual comes quickly, because it will be very, very powerful. And I would love to see it come from the Rio Grande Valley, because that would put us in a real good position to go forward. We're always at the tail end of the line when resources are being allocated to either San Antonio, Houston, Dallas, or other areas. We're always in the bottom of the line. I'm ready to move to the top of the line.
Just before we close out, I'd like to ask, where do you see the Valley in 5 to 10 years if you're elected, or versus if you're not elected?
Well, it depends on how well we get together. See, the Valley is very unique because we have so many governmental jurisdictions. You go to Laredo's Laredo, you go to Del Rio's Del Rio, you go to El Paso, it's El Paso. Here, you're in McAllen, you're in Edinburgh, you're Mission, you're Far, and that causes some issues because they're different jurisdictions. I feel very proud today, and excited that I have 15 out of 17 mayors supporting my candidacy. 15 out of 17, if my math is correct, that's 90%. That means I think I'm going to be able to work with the majority of the people, and I think that I will have the confidence of the people to know that I'm not there to cheat anyone, I'm not there to hurt anyone, I'm there to help. And sometimes when you have limited resources, everybody has to understand that we have to use good judgment as how to allocate those resources. So I think if I first win the test of, hey, you trust me? And the answer is yes, I do, then great things are going to happen. If I fail to gain that trust, then we're going to go back to business as usual and keep being inefficient and fighting one another instead of pulling together. There's an old cliche that the strength of a chain is the strongest, the weakest link. So I'm ready to put all the links together in Hidalgo County and create a very strong chain.
That's great. Well, Mr. Cortez, it has been a pleasure to have you in our studio. We wish you good luck with your campaign and everything else in your future.
Well, thank you very much, and likewise to you and your future.
Thank you.